Welcome to this episode of DSTV. We bring you the story of Kirunda. He is a mechanical engineer, former graduate of Purdue University, an Ivy League school. He is also a DJ, and he is our guest on the show. Good to see you.
Asante sana.
Good to
Thank
see
you for
you.
having me.
When did you graduate?
Yes, I graduated August 2024. So I spent 4 years at Purdue University. Kind of where I started 2020, so COVID year. Unfortunately, that first year, because of COVID, we had to stay at home. So I was doing remote classes. I was online, which was a bit of a challenge because now you have to stay up late. You're doing classes at like 10 p.m. Kenyan time. But it also did allow me to have a lot more time during the day now to just do my own shughlis and whatever. And then it was nice also being with family. Once I came here, I realized what wanalipa rent, what you wanalipa for groceries and everything. So to stay with my family was a real blessing.
Okay. Yeah, so I wanted to trace your story from right there in Kenya. You got admission to come to Purdue University in Indiana. You are in Kenya. There is COVID.
Yes.
So you say you took classes from Kenya?
Yep. I took classes from Kenya. It was challenging again because of that distance, and I guess that remote stuff was something I was very unfamiliar with. In high school, everything was in person. There was a certain way we did things, so it was a lot of adapting to it. But Purdue did provide a lot of resources to help with that kind of transition. So we were able to do that first year. They had the option to go back in the spring, but I didn't want to come now in the winter. I have to start my journey in America in the baridi. So decided to wait until the second year. So I came here in 2021, which would be my sophomore year.
Oh, you did a whole year from Kenya?
I did a whole year in Kenya.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm very grateful. Actually, I had started a business when I was in Kenya during that year. And so because of that flexibility with the online classes, I was actually able to do that. Still train for swimming because I still had plans to now join the team. That kind of phased away now after I got back in the water. But yeah, it gave me a lot of flexibility to do different things with those online classes. Yeah.
That's something I'm sure I've also learned as well, that you get admitted to a school in the US is a in-person degree, but during that time, they were able to provide opportunities to be able to take the classes from Kenya.
Definitely.
And you had to sacrifice your nights.
Yep. Luckily, they didn't do, usually if you had group projects, they'd align you with people who are in the same time zone. So you're not working necessarily with Americans.
Okay.
So some of my really good friends from Purdue, actually, I met them during that COVID year.
Okay.
So we were just remote looking at each other. Someone is in Ghana, someone is in Nigeria. Then I had one friend in Dubai and one in Lebanon. So because we're all in just similar time zones, we are working on projects together. So that definitely helped a lot.
That's a very unique experience.
It's very unique. One thing I will say, the deadlines were a little bit easier because instead of it being at midnight, now it was like 8 a.m. So if I was tired, can't figure it out at night, nilale, just wake up early, do the assignment and submit it. But caveat, that daylight savings, I didn't know about it. So one day I woke up to submit it, and then I'm seeing it's late, 1 hour late.
It was already 1 hour late.
It's 1 hour late.
Because of the time change thing.
So I just had to tell my professor, I'm from Kenya, I'm just a humble Kenyan boy, I don't know.
I have no idea what time saving means, and exactly. I didn't change my clock. In fact, it's still accurate.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Kirunda, the other question is, so how was, because you are doing mechanical engineering, that means at that time there were no practicals.
Yes.
Because other than maybe virtual. Yeah. So that's what I was wondering, like, now that you have been at Purdue, what can you say comparing the virtual classes and those ones who are freshmen doing the same course? Yeah. Is there some difference?
So one thing I will say about Purdue, Purdue doesn't admit you directly into your major for engineering. They have something called first year engineering. And in first year engineering, you do general engineering classes, your math.
Lots of sciences.
Yeah, your math, your physics, chemistry. And then you have two kind of capstone classes, which is, I worked in the Office of Future Engineers, so I know the whole spiel for it. You have two engineering capstone classes as you do in each semester. There's different kind of paths you can take for it. but typically you're working on a project long-term through the semester in a team. And what they really want to emphasize is that teamwork skills, bringing skills from different places and trying to work towards a project together. So sometimes that project is sponsored by a company, sometimes it's just a project internal. I worked with a research team called the Autonomous Motorsports Purdue, and we were basically working on building a autonomous racing vehicle. But again, because of virtual limitations, we could only do modeling. So we were mostly working with softwares and trying to figure out how can we best optimize the programs that are within the software, and that's reading all the data from the positioning of the car. How can that be now optimized towards the engine so that it can go as fast as possible, and especially when taking corners and stuff like that. So virtual is obviously, you're not in person. It's a bit harder to get stuff, but there's a lot of applications you can do. And especially, I think what COVID showed us is that collaboration is possible even if you're not there in person.
That's true.
There's a lot of ways you can do it. So
that's true.
But to compare them, I think in person, Purdue has a lot of resources in person. So
that's what I thought.
I think when I came, every day I was just learning about. I was like, this place has a nuclear reactor. This place has a particle accelerator.
It's one of the best schools in aviation technology. So one of the best schools, in computer engineering.
Exactly.
One of the best schools even in agriculture.
So I don't think I understood how good Purdue was until I stepped on campus. I think even the funniest one, you might think I'm very stupid. Neil Armstrong building.
Yes.
I saw it was called Neil Armstrong, but I just thought that was just, they just picked some guy and said, this is called Neil Armstrong. Mumbai, that guy went to Purdue University.
He went to Purdue. Neil Armstrong went to Purdue, and viewers, Neil Armstrong went to the moon.
Purdue has actually produced the most number of astronauts out of any university.
I was reading online. I saw there are like over 30 astronauts.
There's quite a few. So Purdue has a very good, especially in those STEM and engineering fields, pharmacy as well.
Yes.
So I think just the longer I stayed at Purdue, the more I was like, this is it's a good school.
It is a very good school. Purdue is a very good school for sure. And if you are watching and you would like to apply to Purdue University, reach out to us via the comment section, and we can link you up to Kirunda, who can tell you more on how to apply to Purdue University, including even trying to find scholarship opportunities, because definitely he's been studying there and he works around, so he knows quite a bit about Purdue University.
Yep.
Now, when you came, I always ask this question to my guests. What is this thing that was a big culture shock?
So luckily, I was fortunate enough to have traveled to the US before. I think I had come twice. Once when I was like 9. Once when I was like, I think 16. As I had mentioned, I took a gap year. So right after I graduated that summer, we came to the US now to see, because I had admitted to the school and accepted everything, then deferred my entry. We said, let's come and see that the school is real. Let's come and see.
That was good.
Yes, so I actually took a gap year. I graduated 2019, took a gap year, and then started 2020. Yes.
So to you, it wasn't that dramatic.
Yeah.
It wasn't dramatic for sure. Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
So when I came, we just came to kind of see that it's real. These classes for real. Did a little bit of a tour. I think at the time, because I knew that I was not starting that year, I was kind of like, okay, this is a place. It exists.
It exists, yeah.
When the time is coming for me to be here, I'll be here. So I didn't really look around and see the things that now I saw when I realized, I'm here for 3 years. So it looked a bit different now when I came in 2021. I was like, there's a lot of corn.
It's a lot of corn, yeah.
And there's not a lot of action. There's not a lot of, in Kenya we call it msongamano.
There's a lot of space.
A lot of movement and a lot of stuff. Personally, I feed off that kind of energy. And I think the city that I found that has that the most is like New York, where it's just bustling. Everyone is doing something.
You are a Nairobi guy. You went to school in Mombasa. Those are the biggest cities in Kenya.
Exactly.
And so Purdue is a bit rural.
So yes. So I came here and I was like, this one is the village. Things are closing by 8 p.m. I'm like,
no wonder you became a DJ to try and find some vibe. The missing gap maybe in your life.
Exactly, because in Kenya, you can have your profession and then the enjoyment is also there. So
it goes hand in hand, and and you do it well, and at the end of the day, so
yeah. So I think one of the biggest culture shocks was again that ruralness. I say it was not necessarily the American, the socialized. It was just, for me, I say it
actually
was like
the opposite of what you thought American life is.
For me, it felt like, and I still think Indiana is the village of America. If I compare, like, I went to the village back in Embu in Kenya, very similar type of, just their approaches to life, their perspective. Because majority, you'll meet someone in Indiana, they've been here 30 years, 50 years, they've never been to Chicago, which is a 3-hour drive.
Only. Never
been to Chicago. They've heard of Chicago, but they've never been. So there's just a certain mentality that
you are reminding me of Jerry Momanyi. We interviewed him on this show. He was from Dallas.
Yeah.
And we were right at the Circle City, the Monument Circle in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
We were interviewing him from there, and I asked him, what is your opinion of Indianapolis? He told me, just like what you said. He said, this is a village.
It's the village, the village, the village. So I have come to appreciate the things of the village. It's quiet. It's affordable. People are very friendly. I guess because it's like communal.
It's a close-knit family.
Yeah. What I don't like about the friendliness, though, is sometimes it's not genuine.
Oh.
Someone gave it, how do you explain it? It's like, I don't know what fruit he used. There are some fruits that have a very soft exterior and a very hard interior. So they'll be very nice on the outside, but someone, oh, can I come over for dinner? They're like, hey, let's stay over there.
So,
whereas somewhere in the East Coast, it's more like a very hard shell on the outside, like
and
a coconut.
Very soft inside.
And then once you enter, so on the outside, they're not saying hi to you. They're not helping you with anything. But mukijuana, and you get to know each other well, then you're like properly tapped in.
So definitely, Kirunda, as you put it, then there were some, cultural things you had to really adapt to.
Definitely.
And thanks to your upbringing, and on this show, I always say that we always want to appreciate, the people who brought us along the way. I see your parents exposed you really early.
Definitely. I think one of the biggest things, I said the high school that I went to was so diverse. I went to Aga Khan, so I think in primary school it was primarily Indian students. There were a couple of black students, and then not a lot, but a couple of expat students as well. So there was just a whole variety of learning different things, and then even the things that we were learning, our CRE, we learned about every religion. We learned about Hinduism, we learned about Christianity, we learned about Sikhism, all of them. So I had a very broad view of the world, which I didn't realize until I met people who didn't have that view, and I was like,
and that's thanks to your parents.
Definitely.
And on this show, we always talk to them as well. Talk to them.
Thank you very much. The upbringing, they even get compliments themselves.
Talk to them directly. That is the challenge I put on people on this show. You have to talk to them and thank them for what you've seen now.
Yeah, so I think it's only, and sometimes I even feel like it's not an out of body experience, but you kind of see how the things that you did when you grew up lead to where you are now, and how you kind of see the world
now. Adds up.
And now it adds up. So I'm very thankful for the way I was raised. I got to experience and meet a lot of different types of people. Another thing was also swimming.
Yes, we talk about swimming.
Yeah, so again, I started swimming when I was pretty young. I started joining the junior national teams when I was about 9 years old, and then kind of continued along that journey. So I was swimming for Team Kenya at the junior national level, and then was now making my way into the senior team as I was almost graduating from 5 and 6. So I've traveled to a lot of different countries to swim for Kenya, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Manchester.
That is the UK.
Manchester in the UK, Tanzania. So a bunch of different places, and just meeting all those different people. You meet people from different countries, and you realize we're all just the same people. We're trying to swim as fast as possible, or just make our goals work. And I think that really, when you're a young person and you realize that someone from another country with a whole other upbringing is very similar to you, just cultural differences, you really just begin to appreciate people for just being themselves.
Being themselves.
Yeah.